everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue podcast. On this very special Revenge of the Fifth, I'm going to just go ahead and talk about Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. I was lucky enough that I recently got to go watch this movie in the theater. I was at the Alamo Draft House for the 20th anniversary re release of this film. And it was a great experience. If you check out my letterbox, I gave this movie a 5 stars, and I had never rated this movie that high, but just that night was such a cool time. It was so much fun going back and revisiting this because I don't even remember watching this movie in the theaters originally. Like it's been such a long time. I mean, 20 years. I've seen so many other movies since then that the experience itself, yeah, it's very hard for me to remember. But it's really cool. Like I enjoyed um, going out there, seeing this as an adult, and really just experiencing again, almost as if for the first time, everything. And this movie is actually very good. I think it's not perfect. I think it has some issues. I think George Lucas definitely he tried to rein in a few things, but there was so much to there's this movie is so dense with story. It's pretty crazy that it's only 2 hours and 40 minutes. Yeah, it is insane. Obviously, going back into this, having all the knowledge of like Clone Wars and Rebels and the comics and everything else that has filled in the gaps between the prequel episodes really adds so much, right? Especially having seen the Ahsoka side of it and just knowing about Ahsoka and her arc with Anakin, her the relationship, like it all just really works out. Um, going back to see this, I love the pacing of this film. There is not a moment where this movie slows down at all. Like, especially because at the theater, like I said, this movie's 2.5 hours long plus, right? I was looking for a place to take a break and go to the restroom. But every scene, like as they were coming up, like you have the battle with Grievous and Dooku gets killed, and they go into their next assignment. Then Anakin has to go meet Palpatine, and just like going from one thing to the other, the next sequence, they both have their own individual missions, and Palpatine keeps trying to work on Anakin while Obi-Wan is trying to capture Grievous, and they're trying to end the war. And then Anakin struggling with the council. Like it's just go. I did end up taking a break where Yoda is off to Kashyyyk. I figured that was probably the best place to do it. And, take a few minutes to go to the restroom there. But man, this movie is insanely paced. Like there's so much happening. There's so much story. I think the performances are there's probably still some issues with it, but I was looking at this through the lens of like Hayden Christensen for so many years got so much crap about these movies, and now over the past few years, maybe the last decade, he's kind of had this renaissance where like people appreciate these films, and he's kind of been brought back into interacting with the fandom. We saw you could see online that he was at a few screenings, and he was Star Wars Celebration, and at some screenings there where he was introducing the film. There was one where I saw that he was introducing with Sam Jackson, which is really fun to see them together. um yeah, I think it's great. I will say, Padme, I feel like she gets a little bit of the short end of the stick on this one because the story really has to focus on Anakin and Obi-Wan and closing out their relationship, where she just I don't even know if Natalie Portman at any point like saw any other performers or any other cast and crew outside of Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, and of course Anthony Daniels, right? Who's always alongside with her, or maybe even for that matter, even Anthony Daniels. Like, I don't know that they ever saw anyone else because they're just at the apartment the whole time, right? After that initial scene where Anakin comes back, even there, Padme's kind of hidden because she's pregnant, so like she can't really be out in the open. I would say that's probably one of the only complaints that I have about this. The action is fantastic. Like the fights are all great. Like starting off with fighting Grievous, like who's one of my favorite characters, the battle with Dooku, the chase all the way through. It's this movie's also pretty funny. Like it has a lot of, it's corny, but it's really funny, and I think the humor really hits. Especially if you, especially on a movie that I've seen multiple times, right, over and over again. Yeah, it just really works. And such a studded cast. Even seeing Sam Jackson just in the council scenes with all the other Jedi, like it just really works. Um, I love the scene where Anakin goes to talk to Yoda about his dreams, and just the way that Anakin is lit the whole time. Like every time as the movie goes on, there is more and more darkness around him and the Jedi, because the darkness is coming, the darkness is looming. Palpatine's plan is about to go into effect, and then, of course, it does finally go into effect. I love revisiting the scene at the opera where Palpatine tells Anakin the story of Darth Plagueis, and his knowledge, and Anakin finally discovering the truth, but still being conflicted about all this. I think it really works. It's just such a, this story is really a tragedy, and this movie really shows it. Um, and just going back to Obi-Wan finally taking out Grievous, and then being betrayed. Order 66, one of the, especially now that we've seen all the consequences of that and how much bigger of an impact that had. But even during the movie, just seeing like Yoda feeling all the Jedi falling, right? And then not being able to come back home, being, having Bail intercept everyone and try to save a few lives. But then they still had to go into the temple. And then Yoda fighting Palpatine, and Sam Jackson, Mace Windu fighting Palpatine and then being betrayed by Anakin, and then Anakin fully giving himself into, becoming Darth Vader at that moment. It's just so good. The emotional stakes are so high throughout the full film, and because we're bringing, as an audience, and I was sitting with a great audience too. As an audience, just coming into this film with all the lore, all the extra stuff that we now have from all this insular material, like it really works. It's just an amazing performances. The fight in Mustafar is just fantastic. It looks great. It works so well. There's so much emotional weight behind the performances, and just Ian McGregor and Hayden Christensen just give. I feel like that was probably one of the toughest sequences to get done, because first of all, they're just jumping around in CGI, but also this is kind of the end of their relationship, right? So it really works, and just, man, oh man, such a great experience. If you I talked about this during our live show after watching this. Like, if you ever have a chance to go watch any of these older movies, like, the recent ones, I feel like a lot of people probably, including myself, got to watch them in the theater with a really full theatrical experience. But if you ever have a chance to go back and rewatch some of these older Star Wars movies, you should take advantage of it, because it just works so well on the screen. John Williams' score just blasting out of the speakers, and then the effects like that still really hold up. Or even in the older movies, the effects that don't hold up as well, but it's still like it looks cool and fun because it's practical and it's cheesy and it's kind of like a goofy movie, but it's also like really full of all these emotional stakes because you've been a fan of Star Wars for so long. So yeah, highly encourage you, seek out these movies whenever they show up back on TV. We'll have plenty of anniversaries. If Disney were to re-release these movies on a yearly basis, they would make so much money, and people would go. I know people would go all the time, because there's people I like at my theater. I saw people bringing their families or kids, probably to watch these movies for the first time. I wish there was a way to know who was there watching these for the first time. So yeah, it was just such a magical experience that I'll treasure a long time. So if you went out to one of these screenings for Revenge of the Sith, let me know about it down in the comments. Let me know how was your experience. Also, let me know what you thought about this movie. If you've seen it, 10, 100 times, or if this was your first time watching it, let me know about it. We are inundated and really just very lucky to have so much really good Star Wars content around the shooting of this video. We had the release of Star Wars Tales of the Underworld and Star Wars Day. We also have Andor season 2 just kicking kicking ass into high gear. Like it's just such a good show. And then of course we have the relaunch of some of the Marvel comics, some of the Dark Horse comics, just really coming out with some really fun series. So like, there's just so much great Star Wars content out there that if you don't like one thing, you can always pivot to the next. So there you have it. Thank you for watching, everyone. Have a great Revenge of the Fifth. And as always, please stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reaction, movie reviews, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here on the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone, and may the force be with you. Bye bye.